I thought that that's what she did. I wouldn't, like, I would not be friends with someone who I would think would set me up like that. So I don't, I mean, I know, I get why people think it. I can understand that. But I also, if the man's sitting on the board of the charity, why wouldn't he be at the event?
That makes sense. I think people also, because they're relaying that now to this whole thing with like the caterers and Angie and that scene with Whitney, and they're saying, you know, Whitney says that was a set. I think that's adding to it. Like, I'm saying.
I'm sure.
What happens when like a Whitney, I mean, Whitney and Lisa, are they just oil and water? I mean, should they just, I mean, look, they went for aerial aerobics. They tried. Should they just give it up? Are they just fundamentally different?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have like tried to, you know, individually push them both towards a peaceful spot together. And I'm sort of at the point myself where I feel that they should just try to coexist and not necessarily work on being friends. Let's just work on being in the same room and being nice to each other, and leave it at that for now, because I think they're wired very differently. I think they think very differently. And I think there's already so much damage done that their perception of the other is always going to be in the worst space. You know, it's like you can say the same exact thing in the same exact tone of voice to three different people, and they'll have three different perceptions of it. And I feel like each of them is always going to think the worst, because there's this history and this past between them. So I feel like they just need to like take it back 100 notches, coexist for a bit, maybe get to know each other a little bit better, like at a distance, and, you know, down the road, see what happens. But I think them trying to make it work as friends so quickly when there was already so much like trauma between them, I think was just too much too fast for both of them.
I think you're right. And like, not everyone needs to be best friends, right?
No, why can't we just, this is what I always say, why can't we just, some of us just coexist? Like, we don't have to be enemies, we don't have to be friends. Clearly there are some issues, whether it's trust or you just don't really get along, or you just don't like somebody, whatever it may be. We are in the same social circle, and there is no reason we can't be pleasant and cordial to one another. You know, for the most part.
For the most part. What about your friendships? Like, who have you grown closer to as a result of this season 2, if anyone?
I mean, really, I've grown closer really to really everyone except for Jen and I think we definitely did not get closer. But I would say everybody at some level, you know, in different ways.
Even like, I know you're good friends with Lisa, like even Lisa, like having gone through a hiccup for a minute.
Well, I think, you know, friendships have layers and they're multifaceted, and you find different things about people as you get to know them, as you engage in different types of situations with them. You know, Lisa and I have been friends for a very long time, but we were we in a very like individual friendship where we didn't really interact with, like, I barely know Lisa's friends, she barely knows mine. They're like, you know, acquaintance. Some of her friends are acquaintances of mine, some of my friends are acquaintances of hers, but, you know, really we're in different social circles. And so, you know, I'm learning how Lisa interacts with other people and how that impacts me, and vice versa. She's learning the same. And so, of course, there are going to be some bumps, and that's how you get to know people better. And, you know, you work through it.
I would agree with that. So do you think this whole situation with like Jen and Lisa kind of, you know, wanting to get you guys together and not necessarily 100% seeing your point of view, like, do you think that changed your relationship with her forever? Or is it just, like you said, a bump in the road and we'll work through this?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know. It's kind of a hard question. I mean, yeah, of course, at some level it changes forever, because every piece of information that you learn about a person that shows you how they interact and engage and how they, you know, how they define loyalty, how they define friendship, how they like to communicate, whatever it may be, all that stuff. Of course, it impacts all of us, you know? And does it mean that Lisa and I can't be friends? Of course not. Of course we can be friends. We have been for a long time. You know, you just got to work through it. And, you know, I have to try to get a level of understanding for, you know, the choices that she made, or at least acceptance. You know, maybe I won't ever understand it. That's okay. And vice versa, you know, she has her own issues with me that she has to work through and get to a level of understanding.
Totally.
It's friendship.
That is friendship. What about, you know, every housewife I've ever spoken to, you know, when it comes to family and like, you know, it's the same thing. It's like, we signed up for this show, like you signed up for it, you know, but my extended family didn't, or the people I'm working with. So how, you know, how hard is that when, you know, here you are filming like right after what happened with your father, and like your basic storyline right from the beginning? I mean, now the season is evolving, we're on to other things, but I mean, a lot of it involved Brooks. Like, how hard is that, you know, as a mother, like to have this now be there?
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult because as a mother, all you want to do is protect your children. And when you feel like, you know, I don't care. And I got a lot of people saying stuff like, oh, why didn't you care? All of us were talking about Brooks's sexuality and you never said a word about us. I don't know you. I couldn't care less what you're saying. You know, say what you want. I don't care. You're not my friend. And that's the question mark. Is Jen my friend? Because would my friend say that about my son knowing his struggle? And, you know, so it is what it is. It was very difficult for me. You know, it's hard enough to be in the limelight, to have your family in the limelight, to have strangers talking. And then when you have your, you know, friend adding fuel to the fire, and it's about your, I hate to say child, but Brooks is my child, everybody. That will never change. Brooks Marks is the child of Meredith Marks. And when he is 90 years old and I'm still alive, he will still be my child.
You'll obviously, look at you, Meredith. I mean, you don't age, so come on. You're obviously still going to be alive when he's 90. The technologies, it'll all be good then. So you'll be alive. But yes.
Let's hope I can still look good.
I am right there behind you. But yes, he is. That will always be the case. Yes. I mean, is that hard? Right. Everyone has an opinion on it. Like when you're reading comments, like about your child, like that can't be. I mean, it's one thing if it's about you, like that can't be. But like you said, I guess you don't know those people. You were able to brush it off. And it's more just like that Jen is apparently, supposedly your friend.
Yeah. I mean, and that's part of why, like earlier when we were talking, I'm like, you know, I don't read a lot of this stuff. Like you know, it's interesting because I think that the audience, they want to get involved on social media. They want us to communicate with them, and that's fine. You know, it's fine to not agree with me by all means. Like, you know, no one is going to agree with you all the time. Like that's just not possible. It's when it gets mean and ugly and nasty and below the belt, and then we disengage. And so, you know, if you're looking to have us engaged with you in comments and things like that, and, you know, I'm not saying don't express your opinion. Of course, express your opinion. But when you just are nasty and ugly, we're not going to engage with that. Like, bye.
That's what the block button is for, right?
Exactly. And I never really had blocked anyone in my life until recently. And I'm like, you know what? If you're going to come on my feed and write vicious, nasty things, no, bye. I don't need it. Not about me on my feed. Go write it somewhere else.
Let me tell you, the block button is a wonderful thing. I've used it many a time myself. You just move on. How is Brooks?
Brooks is doing fantastic. He's finishing at NYU. He's working on his brand and developing some more, a new collection. And, you know, he's really busy. He's in his last semester of school and trying to, you know, get this company up and running and working his ass off. And, you know, again, contrary to public opinion, Brooks worked to save his own money, to start his own company. We didn't do anything for it. I've not given him a penny for his business. He's working his ass off to get it all done.
I love the jacket. I love it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot
It's
of
unique,
fun. And he's
right?
got like, so, yeah, wait till you see though. I've only seen the drawings on the other stuff. You know, everyone's having supply chain problems now. I'm having them the whole, you know, you can't get green tea at Starbucks. I mean, you know, everything is a little off right now. So it's taking a little bit of time for him to get the samples and everything, but the drawings look incredible.